Arsenal are by far the most painful team to support in the Premier League, and I would know because I'm an Arsenal fan. They bottled the past 2 Premier League titles and are the biggest club to never win the Champions League. But Arsenal fans will tell you it's okay because they went a whole season unbeaten once. Their star player is Bukayo Saka, but unfortunately he's injured right now, and the rest of the team are a bunch of undiscovered parasitic donkeys, so it doesn't look like they'll be winning any trophies again this season. The only way they know how to score goals is from corners, making them one of the most painfully boring teams to watch right now. But they're still the biggest club in London, with 13 league titles and 14 FA Cups, more than any other team. Aston Villa came out of almost nowhere to qualify for the Champions League this season, where they managed to beat Bayern Munich. They have an experienced manager and some exciting players, making them a decent team. John Duran seems to score every time he comes off the bench, and Ollie Watkins has established himself as a top quality Premier League striker for a few years now. Their star player has to be Morgan Rogers though. That guy has been on absolute fire this season. Unlike Arsenal, they actually have won the Champions League, and with 7 league titles and 7 FA Cups, they're actually a pretty big club. But they're from Birmingham, so I wouldn't trust anyone associated to that football club. Bournemouth are a small club on the south coast, somehow doing very well this season. They've beaten Arsenal, Manchester City, Tottenham and Manchester United already this season, and are actually fighting to qualify for Europe. Of course they're not going to get it though, because it's Bournemouth. Imagine Bournemouth in Europe. Also, the streets will never forget that Callum Wilson-Josh King duo back in the day. Solanke was great as well for them last season, scoring 19 Premier League goals, but he's at Tottenham now, meaning their star player is Antoine Semenyo, who has 6 goals and 2 assists so far this season. And the only trophy they've won in their history was the Championship in 2015, when they first got promoted under Eddie Howe. They're actually tiny, man. Brentford are another tiny club doing well. They sold their star player Ivan Toney in the summer, but they're not missing him, as both Johan Wissa and Brian Burma are doing great this season. Also, these guys are incredible at home, but absolutely diabolical away. It's crazy. Like Bournemouth, they've never won a trophy, and they'll be hoping they can keep their star player in Burma, because if he goes, they could be going down next season. Brighton are another small club on the south coast overachieving. They've been in the Premier League for a few years now, and even played in the Europa League last season. They're also the reason why Messi won the World Cup, as Mope injured Leno, giving Emi Martinez the chance to make a name for himself. These guys just signed random players from everywhere, and have sold on good players such as Caicedo, McAllister, White, Trossard and Cucurella. A very well-run club, I must say. Their star player is João Pedro, and they'll be hoping they can hold on to him for a few seasons. But despite having had a few decent players, they still haven't been able to win a major trophy in their history. Chelsea are the blue billion-pound bozo bottle jobs. They used to be absolute nobodies before they were bought by a Russian billionaire in 2003, who won them 5 Premier League titles and 2 Champions Leagues. But after the Ukraine war, he had to sell to Todd Boehly, this stupid American who spent £1 billion on a bunch of random players. They finished 12th and then 6th, but they're not as bad anymore. But realistically, they're carried by Cole Palmer, who is decent, but not better than Saka. Also, being Chelsea manager must be the worst job in the world, because I don't think I've ever seen a Chelsea manager last 3 seasons. They're always getting sacked. Crystal Palace have been in the Premier League for over 10 years now, and every single year they do the same thing. They finish anywhere from 10th to 15th between 40 and 49 points, but somehow manage to reach a title challenging team every year. They were carried by Zaha for 9 years before he joined Galatasaray, and now their star player is Eberechi Eze. But Mateta has also shown himself to be a pretty decent striker in the past year. Palace are another team without a major trophy, but they came close in the FA Cup in both 1990 and 2016, losing out both times in the finals to Manchester United. Everton has to be emphatically the most useless team in the Premier League. These guys always somehow manage to find a way to escape relegation, despite being a calamitous disaster of a football team. I am absolutely begging they go down and we can finally get rid of them, and then they'll be playing in the Championship with their new £800 million stadium. And Jai can stay in the Premier League though, he's good. Everton actually have 9 league titles, but haven't won a trophy since 1995. And let's be honest, I'll be surprised if they manage to win another trophy before 2095. Fulham got promoted back in 2022 and have been good ever since. They used to get mocked for being a yo-yo club, but they've established themselves as a decent Premier League team now, and they're pretty much Arsenal's reserve team, with the likes of Leno, Smith Rowe, Iwobi and Nelson at the club. Their star player has to be Anthony Robinson though, who is one of the best fullbacks in the Premier League. They also haven't won a trophy before, but they managed to get to the Europa League final in 2010, beating Juventus on their way there and just losing out to Atletico Madrid. I have absolutely no idea what Ipswich are doing in the Premier League. They managed to get back-to-back promotions from League One, and they're now here apparently. They have some good young players such as Omari Hutchinson and Leon Delap, but realistically they're going straight back down. However, they still managed to beat Tottenham and Chelsea. They have actually won the league before, back in 1962, as well as the FA Cup in 1978 and the Europa League in 1981, so they're not just complete nobodies. Leicester are another terrible football team, but they used to actually be good. Back in 2016, they won the Premier League in the biggest shock in football history. They had the likes of Danny Drinkwater and Mark Albrighton in the starting 11, but they also had N'Golo Kante and Riyad Mahrez, who went on to have great careers. Jamie Vardy stuck around and cemented himself as a Premier League legend, and also helped Leicester to win the FA Cup back in 2021. Liverpool are the most overrated club in Premier League history. They have 1 Premier League title, the same as Leicester. However, that's all going to change this season, as they're currently top of the league, meaning they're going to equal Manchester Manchester United's 20 league titles, because football existed before 1992, you know. And they have won more Champions League titles than any other English team, with 6 to their name. Their players absolutely do not rate them though. Salah, Trent and Van Dijk are all running down their contracts to leave on a free this summer, and their manager is literally bald, so can you blame them? Klopp left last season because he was running out of energy, and I would too if I had to hear that accent for 9 years straight.
I'm being serious, I'm being serious.
Manchester City are another team with a bald manager, and this guy is a complete socially inept fraud. I would not let this man within the vicinity of my children. He's like the perfect movie villain. They currently have 115 charges to their name, but this guy acts as if they're the victims. They've won 6 of the last 7 Premier League titles and won the treble in 2023, but none of them count whatsoever because they literally cheated to win them, and they've gotten what was coming to them as they've completely fallen off ever since Haaland said this. But they did give us the greatest moment in Premier League history, so fair enough. Manchester United are the biggest bunch of diabolical bozos in the Premier League. They have won the most Premier League titles and are the biggest club, but they currently sit in 13th. They've had by far the biggest fall off in the Premier League and employ the most preposterous selection of players known to mankind. Anthony isn't just the worst player I've seen, but might be the worst thing I've seen in my life, period. Bruno Fernandes is the most pathetic excuse for a captain in history. How Maguire and Johnny Evans still play for them is simply bizarre. Onana possesses the intellect of an uncivilized, sophisticated animal. Joshua Zirkzee belongs on Weight Watchers, not a Premier League football pitch. And Marcus Rashford needs to stay away from the Snow Bunnies, because they have demolished his confidence indefinitely. Newcastle were bad for a very long time. They were basically what Everton are now, until they were bought by the Saudis in 2021. And then like magic, they became good and qualified for the Champions League in 2023. But they still haven't managed to win any trophy since 1955. With 4 league titles and 6 FA Cups to their name, they have a respectable trophy cabinet, but they haven't added to it in a long time. I don't think I've ever been more jealous of a player than I am Alexander Isak. Please come to Arsenal, I'm on my flipping knees. I have absolutely no idea where to start with Nottingham Forest. These guys were nobodies and then won the league in 1978 before winning back-to-back Champions Leagues and then going back to being nobodies again. They finally got promoted again in 2022 and just about escaped relegation 2 years in a row. It looked like this year might be the year they finally go down, but instead they're currently 3rd in the league with a failed Tottenham manager. It makes absolutely no sense, but neither did it when Leicester won the league in 2016. And with Chris Wood on 13 league goals already, who knows what could happen. Southampton are by far the worst team in the league. In fact, they are the worst team in Premier League history after 21 games. And if they fail to get more than 4 points, they will break the record for the least points in a Premier League season. I didn't think it could get much worse in 2023, but it has. They also lost 9-0 once in 2019, and then again in 2021, which is the joint biggest defeat in Premier League history. They really don't deserve a star player, but if I had to say one, I'd say Carl Walker-Peters. You wouldn't believe it, but they actually used to be good. They beat Inter in the Europa League back in 2015, and had the likes of Mane, Van Dijk, Tadic, and even Gareth Bale at one point. Tottenham are the most disgusting, terrible, treacherous, catastrophic monstrosity of a football club. They are the definition of just because you didn't give up doesn't mean you're gonna make it. Because these guys have been trying to win a trophy for years and miserably fail every time. They haven't won the league since 1961. That's before the flipping moon landed. They let Kane and Son waste the primes of their footballing career playing in the Conference League. The only trophy they've won in the 21st century is the Carling Cup in 2008. The same year they finished 11th in the Premier League. And I guarantee you they aren't winning a trophy this season with that fat Aussie manager they've got who puts the entire team on the halfway line. Currently they're in the bottom half despite supposedly being part of the Big Six. I guess that's just who they are, mate. And no, they don't have any star player. They're all just bad. Well, I guess Kulusevski is okay. West Ham are kinda just there. They had a few good seasons a couple years ago, finishing 6th and 7th, and even won the Conference League. But now they're just a team with some good players such as Paqueta, Kudus and Bowen, but doing absolutely nothing. And they get shamefully smashed by every good team they face. I would be embarrassed to call myself a West Ham fan. Aside from that, they have 3 FA Cups, but they've never won the league. Wolves are another team who are just there. They also used to be good, finishing 7th in the first 2 seasons back with exciting players such as Jota, Jimenez and Neves. But after Raul Jimenez nearly got decapitated against Arsenal, they completely fell off and have never been the same since. Now they're relegation contenders, and Mateus Cunha needs to leave that dead team as soon as possible. Wolves have won the league before, winning 3 league titles back in the 1950s, as well as 4 FA Cups and 2 League Cups. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed, G.